Welcome back to the Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade. This is my show. Let's talk. We don't have a lot of time. We're talking about how to play Warhammer 40k, the event companion. So if you just want to play for funsies with your friends, you can throw a lot of these rules away. You don't have to use them. But we're talking about the event companion. So I've already made 2 other videos in this series where we go through steps 1 through 5, mustering the battlefield, determine the attacker and the offender, force disposition. We go through all of that. Detachment points. We go through all that. Go ahead and check out video 1. Go ahead and check out video 2. So now we're going to move into step 6. This whole video is just going to be about secondary mission objectives. Okay. So the most important thing you need to know about secondary mission objectives is that they're split up into 2 different categories. You have tactical and you have fixed. You have to decide how you're going to play before the mission starts. Am I going to play tactical or am I going to play fixed? This is what that means. So if you're going to play fixed, there is a list of objectives. There's only 4 of them that are fixed. You see down below where it has the swords, that means that is the attacker's deck of secondary objectives. And then you see the page, that is letting you know that it is a fixed objective. There are only 4 fixed objectives: bring it down, engage on all fronts, assassination, and a grievous blow. So when you play, like it says, you have to decide whether you are going to use tactical or fixed. Secondary mission cards are additional ways to score victory points. You note down whether you're using tactical or fixed secondary missions. If you're using fixed, you can only pick 2. So you have to choose between bring it down, engage on all fronts, assassination, or a grievous wound. Those are your only options, right? And just as an example, bring it down. When you draw it, if there are no enemies with wounds 10 or more on the battlefield, you can discard it and draw a new secondary mission card. And then there's different ways where it scores, whether it's fixed or whether it's tactical. So keep that in mind. That's an example of a fixed card. Here's an example of a tactical card. When drawn, if the first battle round, you can draw 1 secondary mission card and shuffle this card back in. So how do you score? End of your turn, for each friendly unit, excluding aircraft and battleshock units, wholly within your opponent's deployment zone, 3 victory points. So if you had 5 of them, you could get, up to 5 victory points. So if you had 2, you'd score a max out of 5. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to understand, whether you're going to do fixed or tactical. And that's how you identify them. Now, if you're going to do tactical, you take your whole deck together and you shuffle it, and this becomes your secondary mission deck. You lay it face down. If you bought the deck of cards, you have enough cards for the attacker and the defender to each have their own deck of secondary mission cards. If you're using tactical, you shuffle it, you put it face down. At the start of your command phase, you draw 2 secondary mission cards face up from the secondary mission deck, and they are what's known as the active secondary missions. Now, here's a difference from 10th, new rule from 10th. You're just going to accumulate more and more secondary missions. I like that. I hated playing secondary missions because you've kind of got locked into just having, I think it was 2 or 3. And if you got boned and you couldn't complete it, but you thought you could, or maybe you could, and you held on to it, and then you didn't, then you got boned. Now you're just going to accumulate them. So it's kind of like side quests. You will have a collection of different side quests. Now, there are some things that you can do to manipulate that, right? Okay, so once per battle, at the end of your command phase, you can, see where it says can, underlined, spend 1 CP to discard one of your active secondary mission cards and draw a new secondary mission card. So you have a little bit of way to cycle through, but notice, this is also a change, once per battle, the entire game. That's only once per battle. So that's a change. Achieving secondary missions. At the end of each player's turn, each player does the following, starting with the player whose turn it is. First, if you meet conditions for 1 or more secondary missions, you can gain the VP, victory points, specified on that card if you do so. And if you're using tactical secondary missions, discard that secondary mission and it is archived. Sorry, achieved. Then, if it is your turn and you are using tactical secondary missions, you can discard 1 or more of your active secondary missions. Let's pull that up a little bit. one or more of your active secondary missions. If you do so, gain 1 CP. So you do have some cycling there to get rid of bad ones that you can't use. I like that. I think it is going to result in me going tactical a bit more. I'm a Tyranid player, so having a Biovore means it is easier for me to score engage on all fronts. But you know, I'm more willing to use the secondaries. Now, if you're doing fixed, um, fixed missions are the ones marked with the symbol shown on the left. If you are using fixed missions, display your selected fixed mission cards face up. Fixed missions cannot be discarded and are active for you throughout the entire battle. Um, it depends. So if you're gonna fight knights, bring it down is probably pretty good. If you're gonna fight chaos knights, bring it down is probably pretty good. If you're gonna fight somebody who's using like Imperial Guard parking garage, probably pretty good. Um, we're the only real monster heavy army. There are other armies that have monsters, but we have the most, I think. Um, so bring it down might not be awesome. For fixed. Assassination might be pretty good, just depending. Like Necrons probably have a lot of characters, and I think Imperial Guard have a lot of characters. It just depends. Space Marines can have a lot of characters. But here's the thing. You want to max out. You max out at 20. So what I mean by that is I want you all to keep in mind that there is a chart that displays the maximum number of victory points you can get. In addition, if you gain a maximum of 20 victory points per fixed secondary mission card. So if you think that you'd be able to score the 45, it'd be worth more going tactical. And you should also keep in mind that on any given turn, so a battle round, okay, so battle round is your opponent's turn and your turn. Round. You can only, on your primary, you can only score up to 15 victory points. If you somehow scored more than that, you just lose those. You can only score 15. Secondary, you can only score up to 15. Okay, so you might shoot yourself in the foot if your opponent is playing tactical and is just scoring stuff left and right and left and right and left and right, because they could get up to 45 a turn if you do fixed and they do tactical. So I actually think tactical is in our best interest now, but also slice it this way. If you were going to play fixed and you knew you could complete your fixed, then you could focus a lot more on completing primary. So it's almost like your fixed are kind of being taken care of and they're like on lock. Because with engage on all fronts, if one or more friendly units, excluding aircraft or battle shocked, are wholly within a table quarter and those units are not within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield, you have a presence on that table quarter. So deep striking in something, throwing a lictor in the backfield. I'm going to use Tyranids. Using a Biovore to drop a Spore Mine. It just requires on a table quarter, okay? And are wholly within a table quarter. So I've been able to achieve that with Gaunts very easily. You got to remember Hormagaunts move 10 and advance and can charge, and they can get completely in a table quarter very quickly, very early on. Gene Stealers for infiltrators and things like that. A Neurolictor infiltrating. She's got stealth. Mine's a female. It's a whole thing. Anyways, so I could see a world where fixed is still be a thing, but I think secondary is going to be where it's at. And I also like the idea of collecting these side quests and completing these side quests. I think it's going to create a dimension of the game that is very interesting and more fun. I think it's going to add more fun to the game. Yeah, just keep in mind you have a little bit of cycling. So once per battle at the end of the command phase, you can spend a CP, discard one active secondary mission card. The end of your command phase. So you'd have to do it knowing that you were going to get rid of it for your next command phase. But yeah, and then keep in mind at the end of each player's turn, each player does the following, and one of those things listed there is if it is your turn and you're using tactical, you can discard one to gain a victory point. Sorry, to gain a command point. So there is a cycling mechanic if you've got one that you just don't think that you can score. I wanted to do a whole video about this, secondary mission objectives. So this was just step 6 of the how to play in the event package, or sorry, the event chart. But anyways, I really enjoy sharing this content with you guys, and I hope this is out there helping someone learn how to play and learn the ins and outs. And this is all from the event pack on the Warhammer community website. So anyways, we here at the Dragon's Lair want to say thank you for spending your time with us at the Dragon's Lair.